Welcome to the Business with Beers podcast. This is the place where we help entrepreneurs expand their business, build their wealth, and generate passive income. I'm your host, Brian Beers, an entrepreneur who's on a mission to inspire growth from everyone around me. Remember that you need to take the actions others won't, and you can live the life that others don't. Please be sure to check out my weekly newsletter that now drops every Thursday. It includes one quote, one tweet, one podcast recommendation, plus some business and investing insight from me. It's short and it's sweet. My goal is to provide you with just a couple gold nuggets to help inspire your growth. Go to brianbeers.com to subscribe. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to bring to you today Chuck Bongiovanni. Chuck has quite the resume, founding and running multiple franchise brands. Today, he's the CEO of Majestic Residences, a residential assisted living franchise system. So I'm excited to hear his story and learn more about this business. Welcome to the show, Chuck.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian, for having me.
Awesome. To start, I guess, could you give us an idea, how did you get into the assisted living game?
Yeah, sure. Well, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, about almost 30 years ago, I graduated with a social work degree and started working for a home health company. And my job was to go visit seniors after they were discharged from the hospital. And many times they were in assisted living, and too many times I saw people that were inappropriate for the place they were in. You know, they're in a place that served dementia clients or residents, and they had no dementia at all, those kinds of things. And so I thought about, what if I created a business that helped families find assisted living, kind of like a real estate agent for assisted living. And that took off, worked for that for about 15, 20 years, then decided to franchise it in 2009. Became very successful, over 155 units, 37 states. That was acquired by private equity in about 2018. My wife is still the brand president now. And so in 2020, I decided to go the other side of the desk and start franchising some senior providers, extra providers of care, which is where we are now.
Okay. So before you were kind of in this brokerage kind of system, you'd help place people into these homes. Now you're on the real estate side, actually helping find homes for these people to live in, to provide the brokers in a sense. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So what is it? I guess, how is it franchisable? Like what is it that you guys do that's special that someone couldn't just do on their own? Like let's start with that.
Sure. Well, anyone can do any business on their own. I mean, it's a matter of how much success they want to see, how quickly, which is all part of franchising. But so, what we do is our franchisees purchase or rent a residential home in just a residential neighborhood. And we help them through the licensing process with their state to become a licensed assisted living facility, but a much smaller one, 6 to 16 beds. In a residential neighborhood, something that people don't see much, but there's 30,000 of them across the nation. So it's pretty prevalent. It's just not that known to people who are looking for care.
All right. So for example, I own a single family home that's 4 bedrooms in, the suburbs of Philadelphia. So if I said, hey, instead of renting it to these 4 guys, instead I could go to you guys and say, hey, I want to rent this. I guess I have 2 options. One, maybe is I become a franchisee through your system and rent it to, older people that need assisted living care, or I rent it to, I guess, maybe you guys, and then you place the franchisees to take it over. Is that my 2 options?
Yeah, we have several different paths. One of them, and you've got them exactly down. One of them is, hey, let's take this 4-bedroom house. Let's maybe convert 2 more bedrooms in the garage, or maybe 3, depends on the size of it. And that way we can always use the master bedroom for 2 residents. So maybe a 4-bedroom home, we can get 8, maybe 10, depending on the size of the home, residents in that home. And they're going to pay anywhere between $5,000 and $7,000 each per month to get and receive care there. So, you as a real estate investor could just rent the home out to one of our franchisees and get a premium on it. Our contracts are about 5 years. So you don't have to worry about renting a home out and having it trashed by these 4 guys, because it's going to be overseen by a franchise system, by Majestic Residences, to make sure the home stays in proper appearance and in working order.
Okay. And I guess, how much of a premium are your franchisees renting these homes versus, the traditional market?
Yeah, I've seen some homes that, triple net are like $1,800, $1,900, and we're paying $5,000, $5,500 for them. So
Okay.
It's a pretty decent deal for the.
So it could be 2 to 3 times market rate.
Could be.
Plus triple net. Plus, if you're paying the taxes and all utilities, I mean,
right.
I pay the taxes, I pay the sewer. So there's some additional expenses there. Okay.
Right. And maybe even, 5 years into it, you want to sell the home, have a lease or purchase or something like that. And the other path is, you buy the home and then you hire staff, become our franchisee. We walk you through all that and such, and your staff runs the home.
Okay. So what does that look like, running the business? So I don't know anything about the assisted living care. So I need an employee, and then do the employees then, are they there every day, like working in the home? Do they spend the night there? Is it 24/7? Like what does it look like from an operations standpoint? Great question.
The residents aren't golden. It isn't like a golden girl model, so you don't have residents in your home that can get in their car, drive to Walmart, go to a movie. These people need care. So you'd hire a manager or an administrator. That is your main person who runs the business. They hire caregivers. They oversee the caregivers. It's run 24/7. So you always have to have someone there. In some states, you have to have someone awake at night. Others you don't, but it is it's staffed 24/7. Sometimes you have one staff there in the day, evening, and overnight, depending on your numbers. Sometimes you have 2, sometimes you have 3 on day shift and evening shift, and 1 overnight. So it varies a lot depending on the type of care that's needed. Okay,
so you've got this 4-bedroom that maybe you can convert it into a 6-bed or whatever, right? Depending on the layout. Do you have multiple people in a room? Is it, at a certain point it gets too tight, right? In terms of
So most of the master suites go to husband and wife, right? And by law, you have to have about 120 feet. The bedrooms have to be at least 120 square feet in order to have 2 residents in there. We don't like to pack them. But in any decent size house, you're going to be able to have your master bedroom. And then, maybe in the garage suites, you can make them a little bigger to have multiple people in a room. But most seniors want to have their own room.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, so you got 6 people or so, and if you can generate 5,000, you're able to generate $30,000 per month. You're saying potentially, through that.
And that's with 6 beds, right?
With 6 beds. Okay.
Most states are like, you can license up to 10 beds. Some states like Texas is 16 beds. Some states you can have more than 10, depending on if you have a fire system in your house.
Okay, got it. And then at what who pays you? Is it insurance pay, or is it direct pay?
It's usually direct pay, but we also accept long-term care insurance. So something that your parents might have bought 20 years ago, and now they can utilize that service.
Okay. All right. So how many franchisees do you have today?
Right now we have 8 that are currently open, another 20 that are in negotiation, finding a home, building a home, and those kinds of things, and about 80 of them in the pipeline right now too. We actually have a home in Dominican Republic that's opening soon. We're converting a school to a 22-bed place out there.
Okay. And then what's the profile, I guess, of somebody who potentially is interested in this? Like, what's the profile that you're looking for in terms of maybe the investor, and then also as an operator?
Sure. An investor is someone who needs who can understand the concept, know that, yes, we're going to make some improvements on the home. We're looking for at least a 5-year lease. And for a franchisee, business experience is always a plus in any franchise system. Medical experience isn't a must. It's a plus, but it isn't a must. And having the ability to supervise people, because like I said, that manager is your most important employee. If you hire the right manager or administrator, the business will run itself through him or her.
Yep. You said you make improvements, so you guys will pay for all the renovations if you want to convert a garage or do whatever.
That's between the investor and the franchisee, but there's multiple ways you can take a look at that. It mainly is the converting a garage, or maybe converting a living room into another bedroom or something like that. Okay. Nothing that can't be reversed after the lease is over.
Then how many employee per like what's of your guys? Do they have multiple staff that cover multiple homes? Like, is this thing scalable in a sense? If an investor were to say, hey, I'm going to go into a neighborhood, I'm going to buy whatever 5 homes, are they able to scale their staff to
absolutely. Actually, 3 is a sweet spot too, owning 3 of these, because that manager that you hire can oversee those 3 homes. So now his or her salary is distributed among 3 homes instead of 1. And then with your staff, of course, like you just mentioned, if you have a call in somewhere or someone gets sick, you can bring staff over from another home that may not be working that shift. But having the ability to utilize a pool of caregivers for those homes.
And then you need 4 employees roughly per home, 4 or 5?
Usually you think about 7 by the time, you're working weekends in there and such too, 24-hour coverage.
Yep. Is it hard to find that staff right now with COVID and all the demand and rising wages and all this stuff?
That's a great question. I have a unique theory on that. And I the old saying that people leave people, not careers. I hear homeowners say, well, Amazon's hiring for $19 an hour. Well, a caregiver will not work at Amazon. They're not going to work at Burger King. It's not that kind of people. Those caregivers are very special people. They want to care for others. They don't want to work in a factory somewhere, even if it pays $3 more an hour. They're just different kind of people. And any kind of staff that I see that are quitting or moving on, it really has to do, I think, with that owner and how they're treating them.
Okay. Can you speak to what does the average caremaker make in America, whatever it is?
Sure. Again, depending on the state and city and such, anywhere between $14 and $18 an hour.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, for someone who's into real estate and, likes the idea of potentially getting into assisted living, I mean, it sounds like an interesting opportunity. I know I've got a number of friends in that assisted living space, and they're looking at, I think, more the other models, right? The home healthcare, right? Where you are staffing people and then they're going to people's homes, right?
Right. That could be labor intensive because then you need one caregiver for every client, where with us, you don't. But on the real estate end, hey, if I was a real estate investor and I knew that I was going to go out and buy five single family homes this year and rent them out to a family that, I may not know whether they're going to pay every month or trash the place. This is a much more secure investment for them since it is longer term. And not only do you have our franchisee in the home, but you have us overseeing the home itself. So making sure that it stays up in great appearance and it's presentable.
Okay. And what's the minimum? Is it 6 bedrooms to make sense?
A 4-bedroom home, like the one you talked about in Philadelphia area, 4-bedroom home, we could get extra bedrooms in there and without looking cramped at all. So, a 4-5-bedroom home is probably the best shot. Try to stay away from 2 stories. Ranch style is usually the best.
That's what I was going to ask. What about 2 stories? And here, we don't have a ton of ranch style homes around here. Most of them are split levels or 2 stories. But I would imagine that's tough if 2 of the 3 bedrooms or whatever upstairs. That probably makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. I mean, you can have 2 bedrooms and such, but you're either going to need a lift chair or you're going to need an elevator in most states in order to make that happen.
Okay. Cool. So for you guys, what's what are some of your biggest hurdles trying to grow this franchise? What are your top goals and what are your challenges?
Yeah, our biggest challenge right now, again, is housing prices. That's why we're really looking more towards the leasing model for our franchisees, because it's difficult for them to come up with the purchase of a home and then start up capital on top of that right now. So that's why we're looking a lot more for working with investors who want to lease homes out to our franchisees. Other than that, we've got a lot of response for just starting. I mean, you have franchising experience. You understand that a brand new franchisee, it usually takes forever to get the first 2 franchisees and such. But having the franchisees in the pipeline hasn't been the issue. It's been more the housing issue itself for us.
It's finding the houses that they could have. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there certain areas you're currently operating in or have a strong presence?
A strong presence in Arizona right now and in Texas. Starting a stronger presence in California. I'd love to see more in Florida. There are a decent amount of homes out there, but they're not always the best care from what we hear from people on the ground. Okay. Georgia has another one also. Usually the farther northeast you go, the more difficult it is to be able to get licensed to do this kind of business.
Okay. So if you live in New York or something, it's probably impossible, I would imagine.
Not impossible, just much more difficult. It's going to take you a little longer to get licensed, but not impossible.
Okay. And I guess in terms of population and demand, probably the South is just more, right? In Florida and Texas and Arizona and all that.
Yeah. We're also seeing now a trend of moving mom and dad where you live. So you may not be in a very an area that has a lot of elderly people, but we're seeing a lot of people, kids moving mom to areas near them instead.
Okay. And what do you guys charge? What's like the royalty fees? What's the startup cost?
Yeah, our franchise fee, a franchise fee is $49,500. That'll get them licensed, trained, operations, marketing, all that kind of stuff. Then we have a 6% monthly royalty from the gross.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So what, going through your career in franchising, what was one of the biggest failures that you had in terms of running a business? What did you learn from it?
In the very beginning, it probably was not vetting franchisees to the best of the ability. The old joke in franchising is you start off saying, I want to find the perfect person, has to have this quality, and then your first couple of franchisees, it goes down to, do they have a check to write? And that was a big mistake. And then we're not doing that here in Majestic, and didn't do it much in my last franchise system either. But most brand new franchisors really want to start their system so bad that they start off by getting the wrong people involved. Yeah.
So what do you do then to go about vetting them?
Yeah, good question. We have our vetting process is about a 6-week process where they're filling out applications for us. We're discussing them. They're going out and seeing homes in their area to get an idea what they look like and how much they charge. We have a business building test that we give them to take a look at what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. A lot of it is just a lot of communication between us and them and expectations, make sure they have the right expectations.
Okay. And they have to be like a full owner operator, or is it, can they, like you said, hire the manager, put them in place? I know there's 2 different models generally in the franchise world.
Yeah. We don't want our franchisees actually in the home doing the care. We want them out running the business so they can go and purchase another home and another home and another home after that. So again, it's finding that right manager to be able to run the home for them.
Okay. And for you, in terms of lifestyle by design, is there anything you do to kind of leverage your time in order to kind of, live the life that you want to live?
I have a real big koi pond in my backyard. So I start every morning with a cup of coffee and just, somewhat meditating, just taking on the day, what I'm going to do for the day and such. But besides that, I'm a workaholic, so I kind of enjoy it. It's people say that the best job is, not really having a job and doing something that you love. And that's what I do. I just really enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. What does your team look like in terms of at the franchise side?
I have one of my main people has been with me for about 11 years. She came with me. My last franchise system acquired another system, and she was part of that system. So when I started Majestic, I brought her over. And then my director of operations, kind of funny, I met him when he was 17 years old, 20 something years ago. He was a caregiver in his mother's homes, and now he owns those homes. So we've come full circle with that also.
Okay. That's awesome. And where it's what's the goal, I guess, for 2022? How big do you want to grow this thing? What's 5 years look like? Can you paint the vision? Sure.
We're looking, we want to be about 50 by the end of this year, whether operating or in that mode of a process. And then increase that by 50 next year in 2023, and then the natural progression of 75 after that. So we want to get up to about 300 homes. We think that would be a nice number for branding across the nation.
Okay.
Because a lot of things, Brian, is that, everyone, when they drive by one of these big facilities, they know it because they drive by it every day. Since these homes are in neighborhoods, branding is difficult for them. Like I said, there's 30,000 of these out in the country that people don't never even heard of them. I actually placed a person literally next door to where they lived, and they didn't know it was a care home. So our big push is that branding behind it. So we have the branding power of some of the bigger places, but with the smaller residential care homes.
Do you put signs outside the house?
Most towns you're not allowed to.
Okay.
But we do a pretty big internet push and community outreach.
Okay. And how did the neighbors feel about this?
It's funny. First of all, the homeowners associations have never been able to stop a residential care home from opening because of a little law, Fair Housing Act. It's kind of a big law. So they can't stop this home from opening. And what I've found in my years is that the neighbor who complains the most is usually the one who puts mom or dad in first.
Okay.
It's weird, but it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know in through some of the neighborhoods around me, they try to put a halfway house, and it was a home that was going to be divvied up and 15 people in there. And, of course there was tons of pushback and it was this huge deal. And ultimately they denied the zoning of it. And so it didn't happen, but it caused a pretty big uproar. Now, obviously a halfway house is going to be a different type of person coming and going on a regular basis in a neighborhood with all these kids and stuff than
exactly
an assisted living. But I mean, to a degree, it's similar in terms of maybe the volume of activity, right?
Well, like I said, the seniors, they don't have cars. They're not driving in and out of the home themselves every day. So, the typical home may have a couple of visits from medical people per day, and then maybe some families in the evening time. But it's not like a parking lot in front of the home. You wouldn't even know if there was one next to you. Chances are, if you live in a bigger city, there's one within half mile of you, and you may not even know it. There'll be one in your neighborhood you wouldn't know.
How would you find one if you wanted to?
States usually have directories on their websites about where the homes are.
Okay. Interesting. Good stuff. So, I mean, it's definitely, something worth looking into. I mean, talk about I don't know, recession proof and, the ways that things are going. And you don't really see a dip there, right? In terms of.
No, not at all. I mean, even during COVID, the small residential homes did very, very well. The bigger places, the bigger nursing homes had problems just because there were more people there. But when you're dealing with a home with 6 or 10 people, and it's pretty easy to coordinate and control who comes in, who comes out, and all, everything, the protocol that goes with that. But there hasn't been any kind of issue with recession-proof business. Definitely is.
Awesome. Great. Any books you've been reading lately in terms of business or financing, franchise, anything you could recommend to people?
Oh, wow. I don't know the name of it. It's something about watering your bamboo or something like that. It's a good book about making sure you do the things that you're supposed to do every day and don't forget about it. Because if you fail to water the bamboo, I guess it doesn't grow. And I have tons of bamboo in my backyard, so it kind of caught attention to me.
Yeah. So it's like accountability.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? What are you reading?
A couple things. What am I reading? Who Not How. I've read that one recently. That was a great book about, instead of making a to-do list, you make a to-who list, and it's all about leverage, cool. Right?
Yeah.
And who can help you. That was a great one. I've been reading, what else? Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. That's really good. Been reading now it's called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. And it's all about pitching. It's similar to Pitch Anything, where it's talking about pitching an offer and, how you really need to build value, right? Because people pay for value. You get paid in direct correlation to the value you create. And that, there's this outline, this way to you can get a premium for the services you charge if you're able to deliver a ton of value of whatever it's convenience or, solving a specific problem. So,
yeah. And then, mention that something in my homes, we're top of the line in technology. We have some technology in our homes that no one in the nation has. For example, we have this one technology that uses radio waves to determine whether an adult brief is wet or soiled. And then it alerts the caregiver immediately in real time. So it's pretty interesting stuff.
They wear it, or how does it?
No, it's kind of strange. It's like an RFD chip. Think of it like a Band-Aid.
Okay.
They put it on the outside of the brief, so it never touches people or touches anything. And it sends a signal to an antenna. And then if anything disrupts that signal, there you go. The alarms go off and such. That's pretty crazy stuff. And we also use what we call scent technology. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but a lot of these hotels, upper end hotels, when you walk in, they all smell the same. And it isn't just a scent. It's actually used with parts of your brain. 75% of our emotions are linked to scent.
Okay.
So we sat down with some chemists and they said, hey, how do you want your residents to feel? How do you want people who visit feel? We just said, we want them to feel safe and secure and comfortable. So they came up with this scent based on all these oils. I think it gets thrown in our homes. We're pretty high tech. It's pretty cool stuff. When families see that, they see, like we were talking about, they see the value. And that's why our homes get between, $500 and $1,500 per month per resident, more than a home down the street, because we have those value added services.
And how does that compare to someone wanting to go to one of the big facilities? What do they charge?
The difference between the big facility and us, if you're very, very active, if mom is very active, she wants to play cards, she wants to go out to Walmart every once a week with a group of people, that's great. But our residents tend to need a lot more care. They're not going to be able to comfortably walk 500 feet to the dining room. So they're using walkers or wheelchairs. A lot of them have some kind of early or later memory issues. They most likely wouldn't thrive the best in a big facility that's more socially run than medically run. Got it. Okay. And do they cost then a little bit less? So you guys are a little bit more because it's more hands-on? Yeah, it depends. I mean, that really is based by city and economics. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Well, where can people connect if they're interested in either, converting their house, becoming a franchisee, or renting it out to you guys? Like, what's the best way? Best way is go to our website, our franchisee website, which is www.discovermajesticresidences.com. There's some forms to fill out there for initial interest. Then we'll start sending you some information and set up some talks with me and the rest of the staff. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing all your knowledge. Definitely an interesting, kind of new business model here. And I think for someone who it fits, I mean, this could be a great opportunity. So appreciate it. Appreciate your audience. Thank you. Cool. Thanks, Chuck. Take care. That's all we got for this episode with the Business with Beers podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is to rate the show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen. Also, make sure to link up with me on your preferred social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find all my links at brianbeers.com. Please just share the podcast with anyone who you think might enjoy it. And until next time, remember to take the actions others won't, to live the life that others don't.